Okay.
Okay. So virtual server, we are aware now that what the virtual server is. It is a combination of your IP address and of your service port, and it is connected with a pool. And whenever the traffic came, how the traffic will flow, it will run by your virtual server. After that, your virtual server will send it on one of the pool member, and it will be get load balanced. Okay, so that is how our standard traffic flow will be happening. So we can see here that okay, through virtual server, our traffic is load balanced between three of the backend servers. Now I have muted you all. If there is some doubt, please unmute yourself. So we can see that traffic is sent to our virtual server. From our virtual server, it is going to the backend nodes. Okay. So by default, what big IP is doing? All of you know about the source net and about the destination netting. So maybe one of you please tell me, by default, what is happened? Source net or the destination net or both?
In big IP, it takes destination net.
Correct, Praveen. So we should be aware about this point as well, that by default, if we are not making any kind of changes, our big IP will not play with the source IP address, but it only tackles the destination IP address, and it will modify our destination IP address. So the traffic which is coming from the client will hit by the virtual server. Virtual server in return will see which pool member I need to select through the load balancing method, which we have already discussed. So the first packet has the source of the client IP. Destination was for your virtual server. In next packet, which your big IP will gonna generate, source will be your client IP only. Destination will be changed from your virtual server to your backend node. Okay, that is how your destination net happened. And when that response will come back through big IP will retranslate or untranslate this request, and end client will not be aware that who is entertaining that request, either the virtual server or some backend server. And that is how it all, these all requests will be gonna tackle. But in case if there are no proper, default gateway or routing kind of stuff configured on your F5, what you do, you can use SNet as well. So source net or secure net is the way by which you are not only changing your destination IP, but you are changing your destination and source IP as well. Okay. So let us proceed further then. This is the way we configured virtual server many times. Okay, we have created a lab also for the virtual server where we create HTTP virtual server, HTTPS virtual server, and the
So,
SSH
Ravi,
virtual server. Yes.
Ravi, is there any a definition that if anybody asks, right, what is a virtual server about? Is there any one-line answer? Like, I knew you explained yesterday. Like, it's an entity which is, comprised of the pool members and services. But is there any specific definition as such? Like,
Right. So it is a configuration object. You can say that it is a configuration object where any traffic listens to on our big IP system. Okay.
okay,
And over the virtual server, we can associate a pool, which in turn is the combination of pool member where actual service is residing. From client perspective, your virtual server is the first point of contact. Client is not aware about any of the backend servers. Over the virtual server, the pool that is associated can be having priority group activation kind of stuff, can be having load balancing method configured over there, and over the virtual server only, we can tweak the traffic using profiles, using persistence, using iRule. So this is your first way, or you can say this is your first point where big IP will listen to, and can modify, can translate your traffic as per the requirement, as per the client requirement. So we are aware that how to configure your virtual server. Just you need to go to the virtual server and go to the create button. So that was okay, Kaza? Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah.
Achha.
Yes.
So when you hit the create button, you will having such kind of list. Whole list will be appeared in front of you. You can see you need to give name. Earlier we were just providing the IP address and port. We were not touching this kind of stuff. We were not touching this kind of stuff. We just used to provide like our pool. So next point was our pool, and that's it. We were finishing. But this time we will gonna check the different types of virtual servers that can be exist on our big IP. We can create the virtual server through our command line also. So command line, how you will do? You just need to write down create, and then our module is LTM. Go to the virtual server. What is the name? What is the profile? What is the destination kind of stuff you want to provide? Provide it, and just finish it, and it will automatically get reflected on your GUI as well, that we have already checked in our past PPTs, right? So this slide is important. Okay, it is a very important slide. If you see here, what we are showing that it is not only IP address or a host which you can create, but you can create a virtual server on a network as well. Getting this point? So we can
Sorry?
create, we can make the virtual server not only the IP base or the host base, we can create it on the basis of network also. So if you select the network, it will gonna listen on all of the network. Okay. So virtual server is what? Virtual server is your listening object. So it can listen on one IP and it can listen on the network also. So big IP is a full proxy, okay, as opposed to a packet by packet design. So big IP only respond to the traffic, which is for which you have created the listeners for the virtual server. Listener can be your virtual server. Listener can be your SNAT. Correct. Like, but what is the difference between the virtual server and SNAT? We have checked the SNAT, right? Virtual servers can have pools into it, which will in turn will provide the load balancing. In case of SNAT, the load balancing will not be done. By default, whatever you are using, that is a standard virtual server which can listen to a particular IP or can listen to the complete network also. Okay, so that is how like we can create our standard virtual server. So you can see that type is not changed. Type is the same which came by default, but in this case we are not using host, we are using a network. Okay, so that can be the case that we can, instead of one IP, we can listen on multiple of the network. So in some case we do not need the full proxy feature even. Okay, so we do want to route the traffic without maybe load balancing directly to the backend application or the server, right? In that case, F5 is providing you the some like stuff that there are different type of virtual server. You configure it as per your choice. So that is how your virtual server are coming into the picture, different types. So specific virtual server that directs the client traffic to the load balancing. Okay, uh, and most type like the basic virtual server is your standard virtual server. So what happened when you create this virtual server? Okay, you are associating a pool also with that particular virtual server. When traffic will hit on the virtual server, it will automatically redirect to the default pool. And then over the pool, whatever load balancing method you have selected, as per load balancing method, your one of the pool member will get selected and that will entertain the traffic. So we can say the standard type is listen at a single IP address port combination or over the complete network, right? And it will load balance traffic to a pool of application server. Correct? Then here in this slide, if I am watching, there is forward layer 2 also. Like in the type, we can see this is the type, na, type field. Into the type field, there are some more. Okay. Let us discuss about maybe one or two. Okay. So layer 2, you can see the layer 2 forward layer 2 virtual server. Am I audible, guys? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So the forwarding layer 2 virtual server which you are watching over here, it will use the fast L4 profile. What are the profiles we are going to discuss maybe in our next class? Okay. So we are going to discuss about that. So forwarding layer 2 virtual server, yeah.
Ravindra, once you complete, I have one doubt. I will ask afterwards.
It's all right. You ask now.
See, if a particular host only, then fine. It will be a virtual IP. But if it is a virtual network server where is configured as a network, then how will the load balance will happen?
So your client is there. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
This client is there. This client is there.
Hmm.
For them, they are accessing one application, maybe
Hmm.
NetMinion
Hmm.
.net,
Hmm.
and NetMinion is having the vendors. Okay, it is a vendor A, it is a vendor B, it is a vendor C, it is vendor D. Ultimately, they need to access what? They need to access NetMinion.net. Correct?
Okay.
For them, for their DNS, I am gonna provide maybe IP 172.16.0.10 something, maybe or 10.0 you can say 10.0/24.
Hmm.
Assigning them my IP address 172.16.20.0/24 and I am putting in their DNS, local DNS. I am saying, okay, you make the changes in your local DNS and you assign such kind of IP address kind of stuff. They are assigning with 30.0 maybe /24. Okay, they are like 40.0/24 kind of. Okay, we are just taking a hypothetical situation. When they will be gonna resolve, they are coming to this network.
Hmm.
I am saying, okay, it is over my big IP, and big IP saying, okay, I have a virtual server there. Now, the application server are maybe 3 only or 2 only, but they will be listening for all.
Okay.
And then your request will be go and load balanced. And I can also check, okay, from which subnet the requests are coming. Okay, this vendor. So this vendor is utilizing maybe most. So by that way, I can segregate or I can find out the statistics kind of stuff.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
perfect. So we were discussing about the layer 2 forwarding server. So the forwarding layer 2 virtual server type use the fast L4 profile. Okay, again we are gonna check about the profile. Okay, later on, as I was telling you. So it will use your fast L4 profile even into your forward IP also that we will class. Okay, so the forwarding layer 2 virtual server which you will have, they will not have any kind of pool member to share the load. Okay. It will be forward the traffic based on the routing decision. So virtual server will have the same IP address which is putting on your node. So how it will be? It will be like that your traffic is coming over big IP and there is one server. What is the server IP? Maybe 10.10.10.10. The same IP you are configuring for your virtual server. It will not check anything. It will just send packet over there. Same with your forwarding IP as well. Okay. You are not gonna check anything, but on the base of layer 3 information, it will be gonna send the traffic to them. Then performance, there is one thing named as like performance HTTP. If you are having only HTTP kind of services back in the back end, you can maybe for increasing the performance, F5 is saying use the performance HTTP. If you are having L4, use your performance L4. Okay. Stateless means when you are having UDP kind of traffic. Reject means when you wanted to reject couple of the traffic. So when the reject can come into the picture? Reject can come into the picture in the scenario like you are opened with this whole subnet. Okay. And again the same hypothetical situation. There is NetMinion.net which is having vendor A, vendor B, vendor C, vendor D with this virtual server. Now vendor C is no longer using our services. They are saying, okay, we don't have money for this year, maybe we will come next year. Now, to remove them, one part is I need to change over here, okay, all the subnet kind of stuff. Other part is I can create a one more virtual server, let it be like that, which and I will choose the type of that is reject for this particular subnet, maybe 172.16.20.0/24. So any traffic which is coming from this particular subnet will be rejected. Any doubt, guys? Okay.
So can you explain the layer 4 again? Reject, yeah, I understood, but performance layer 4.
For your TCP profile, they will say use it. Okay. It will be bit like your traffic is coming and traffic will be sent back to the device. Okay, backend device. So it will be using your layer 4 and that kind of stuff. But again, it is not your full proxy architecture. Okay, it will just keep the SYN packet, send the SYN packet. From there, the server SYN will become. It will not make two sessions. It will be end-to-end like transparent kind of stuff. So that is how it will be built with your IP. So it will not be much full proxy architecture in that case.
So now this type of this virtual server, right? Yesterday, as you told, first the load balancing will be taken care, then this profile will be persistence profile will be coming into the picture in that flow.
This is the virtual server.
So initially, in the first step itself, it will take.
Yes. So virtual server by default we were using our standard. But this time even we are changing the virtual server type as well.
So by changing this type, how it will impact the things, I mean to say if you are using performance layer 4, so how this is going to use the backend, like the load balancing and persistence profiles, how they will be in sync to each other.
So performance layer 4 is designed as such that your big IP packet will send the client SYN request to the LTM forwarding IP virtual server. Okay, that whatever they are sending, let me explain in that way that see the performance virtual server will use a fast L4 profile first of all. Okay, that is why it is write down over L4 profile. And these performance L4 virtual server send the packet by packet to the backend so that its performance can be increased as compared to your standard virtual server. So standard virtual server will be used when you are not aware what kind of traffic can be come from your client side. But if you are damn sure, okay, it is only HTTP traffic which is coming, you can use HTTP performance. But you are saying no. It is the only TCP packet which is coming. Okay, use performance L4. Okay, you are saying no, UDP traffic is coming. You gonna use the stateless. This is no more the you can say it is no more your full proxy architecture in case of performance layer 4. Maybe let me add this that. Maybe open a paint. Okay. So this is your client. This is your big IP. This is your one of the backend server which is chosen. Okay. In case of performance, so let me choose like that. In standard virtual server, how it happens? If client is sending traffic, first of all, TCP will be done like this. Synac, ACK, and then your data will become. Correct. That data will not forwarded in one go. Big IP will make another session with your server. That is synac, and ACK. After this portion is completed, this data which is coming, that data will be forwarded to the server. Kaza? Hello.
Yeah.
That is the by default behavior, right? What we have
Yes.
checked so far. In this case, what happened? SYN packet is coming from the client. Okay. Maybe with sequence number 0. The same SYN will be forwarded over here with the sequence number 0. LTM evaluate the packet for processing, looking only at the destination IP address. That's it. Getting this point? Then your SYN ACK will come for your sequence number 0, maybe ACK number is 1. The same will be going over there, the SYN ACK. It will be SYN sequence number 0, ACK sequence number 1. Then the ACK is coming from here, the sequence number is 1, the ACK number is 1. The same ACK will be forwarded over here, the sequence number 1 and the ACK number. When the client is sending data, the same data it is sending over there. No different sessions. Making some sense, Kaza?
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. So that is how your TCP L4 profile will be coming into the picture. So you can have your forwarding type of servers, you can have your fast L4 type of function, servers, you can have your standard LB servers. So let us talk about forwarding IP. So forwarding IP is bit like your.
So Ravi, sorry. Before you're going, as you said, you're trying to stress on one point from the beginning that FI will only do a destination net by default. Correct?
I was telling that. Yeah.
Yeah, it will not do the source net. Now, I mean, this is not related. Just thinking, when you say the destination net, it will do by default. So then the source traffic should be initiated from the server.
No, from the client.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
here you go again. Okay. In this picture, if you will see, if we are using standard server, only if we are using standard server, this
Okay.
is your 10.10.10.10. This is maybe your 172.16.20.1. This is maybe your 10.10.30.10. Okay. Source packet will be what? This. Destination will be what? This. In this case,
Correct.
source will be only this, but the
Correct.
destination will be gonna change to this. So your destination IP is changing.
Okay. Okay. That is default. It will do the destination. Okay.
Right. Right. But
So
we
if
can
it
we
will
can
be
do
the
the
same.
source
It will
net
be the
also.
same. Source net I understood because now the client, whatever is client is coming with source IP, that will do either self IP or whatever you are giving in the
Right.
asset.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and if you are giving auto map, that it will go with the self IP addresses.
Right.
Otherwise, you need to give the pool.
Right.
So now, the destination NAT, if the traffic is reversed, like if the connection is initiated from the server to outside, it will be the same destination NAT, right?
That we will talk.
Okay. Okay.
In today's class only we will talk. There is a virtual server for that. We will talk about that. Okay. In fact, I provided you the virtual server name also, wildcard virtual server 0.0.0.0.
Yeah.
That
Correct.
will
Correct.
come into the picture. Okay. So we were talking about forwarding virtual server, right? So forwarding virtual server is again a type which again will use fastl for profile. Okay. Profile for this should be fastl for profile. For whatever an IP forwarding server, virtual server you are creating, it will forward the packet where to the directly to the next hop IP address specified in the client request. So client is sending traffic directly on your internal server, not on your virtual server. But you are creating your virtual server with the same IP that your internal server is having. It is bit like your routing. It is not your standard virtual server. Getting this point? So forwarding IP your virtual server will operate on the packet by packet basis with the TCP behavior, like the same packet is coming again, it is sending there, and that the same kind of stuff. But here it is the routing kind of thing. So you can say it is bit like your SNet as a listener when you create the SNet as a listener. That was also doing the same kind of stuff. So here also with the only difference now you are using forwarding IP address. Sorry, forwarding IP virtual server. Okay, so that is how you can create forwarding virtual server. One of the big IP recommendation is when you are using this kind of virtual server, the forwarding virtual server, you should disable the ARP. Okay, if you are doing it over the VLAN, so this can be if you wanted to limit it, right? Limit the direction maybe, or maybe it should be come from this side only. So you are gonna apply it on external VLAN. From this side, you are gonna apply on internal VLAN. So for that particular VLAN or for that particular maybe the server, you can go ahead and virtual over the virtual server, maybe you can disable the ARP. So by default, your ARP is enabled. You can click over that and you can disable the ARP. That is a recommendation. It is not hard and fast rule that you need to always make like that, but you can go ahead and you can do that. Okay. Again, this is very important stuff, which should be like very good stuff. You should be aware about it. So as we talked about our routing in our future PPTs also, in our sorry, not future, in our past PPTs also, okay, in our past classes also, that for routing, your longest match will be checked first. Similarly, over here, the most specific to the least specific would be the criteria. So first of all, if you have created a virtual server which is having a specific IP and specific port, that will be get preference over the virtual server which is having the specific IP, but the port is not defined. And this will get preference over the virtual server, which is having no specific IP, but the specific port. And this will get preference over the network IP and all ports kind of virtual server. Okay. Similarly, all IPs one port, all IPs all ports. Any doubt in this?